Could you discuss common household products that can harm a baby that we should keep away from the baby's room and just make sure that, it's not in the environment and obviously that the baby doesn't come in contact with them?
Right. Well, we've leaned away from baby powder a long time ago, and that's because baby powder is an inhalant, and they can inhale it, and it irritates the lungs a little bit. It's not toxic and it's not poisonous, but we have found that it is a lung irritant. So we've stayed away from powders, all types of powders. Products that have a very noxious odor. So anything like ammonia or any cleaning products that are very strong that can be inhaled are also harmful to the baby. Other than that, organic products are great, and it's wonderful to have in the house so that you don't have like chemicals that the baby's coming into contact with, but it's not absolutely necessary. If you cannot get your hands on absolutely organic products, then that's okay, as long as you're staying away from those that are very strong and have inhalant properties.
Can you shed some light on some of the activities or things that parents can do with the child or for the child that can help in the cognitive development? I'm thinking maybe singing, reading, just anything that gets that stimulates the baby's brain.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Reading is most important as early as the newborn phase. If you could read to your baby, there's nothing better than that. Just hearing the language and the articulation, and of course, bonding with your parent. Music is also very beneficial. And then as they get a little bit older, stacking blocks, putting big puzzles together, matching animals with animal sound, anything that really gets their brain working and actually their synapses firing so that they can actually problem solve and fit shapes and feel things. That's always great for development. And also, it's really important not to overstimulate your baby. Oftentimes, we get very excited about educational activities and toys and puzzles, and we put it all there in front of our child to play with. But it is really important to limit the amount of things you expose them to. So what I mean by that is, in a playpen, maybe put 2 or 3 toys at a time that they can play with and learn and master. And then over another month or two, you can rotate those toys out and put another 2 or 3, rather than putting all 10 or 12 in at the same time and letting them just kind of play with everything all at once. Usually that's a very good approach.
What is the notion now about walkers?
Right. Yes. Walkers are discouraged for those 2 reasons. Number one, there was an increased incidence in tibial fractures, which is a fracture in the leg where the children were running around the house and then the walkers would kind of tip over and they break their leg. So that was like a hazard. But also the way you place a child into a walker, they kind of externally rotate their hips. So prolonged time in the walker can eventually lead to hip dislocation or delayed walking. So it has been discouraged. Instead, now they have the exercisers that the children can sit in and bounce in, and they have the walker that you actually hold on to and push and you will walk with it, which is really great. Even with the exercisers, I always advise my patients not to leave their children in for more than 15 or 20 minutes at a time, because again, that does start to rotate their hip out.
Anything that you feel is important for parents to know?
Sure. I think that, it's wonderful that we've all been so proactive in interacting with our children and trying to stimulate them and introduce cognitive games with them and toys. And I think that's wonderful. But I also think the most important thing for us to all remember is that interacting with our children and connecting with our children at home is very important. And while we're reading to them, let's try to also just share some time together it's not focused on necessarily teaching something, but just being together and sharing our day and talking to each other. Even with our infants, just letting our infant listen to us speak to one another as adults, that's all part of a wonderful learning experience.